Hello everyone, I'm Zaide Gallegos. I am doing this today for my senior seminar class, which is all about lying and deception. The topic that I will be exploring is the emergence of lies in children development, as well as its relation to how it affects children in a social and cognitive way. I will also be talking a little bit about discipline and actions to help prevent children from lying, but in a comforting and fearless way, not in a way where it's you have to use physical properties to hit them or anything like that, because that's never good, in my personal opinion. But that would be further along discussed later in the episode. To start off, I'd like to introduce an article called The Emergence of Lie Telling in Children Between 3 and 7 Years of Age. Now, the researchers here examine why children will tell a white lie. Essentially, a white lie is an untruthful statement that is without malicious or malignant intent and are often viewed to be positive. And basically what this means is that let's say that if if your parent were to ask you, hey, does my dress look okay? You'd probably be like, yes, it looks fine. But in reality, you might be thinking, okay, it's not the best dress that she's wearing and it's kind of ugly. But in order to save her feelings and not be hurtful, you tell that white lie of, hey, yes, your dress is pretty. And it's kind of seen to be in a harmless way, just in order to protect her feelings and kind of yourself as well. And now what the researchers found was that self-protection is the main motivation for young children to master true emotions, according to the experiment they conducted. Now, a total of 98 children were gathered for this experiment, and they tested the children by asking them to take a picture of a person called the experimenter and either tell them the truth of whether they had the mark on their face before they took the picture, or be like, hey, you look fine, go ahead and take the picture. And they would take the picture without telling the experimenter that, hey, you actually need to wipe that mark off your face because you look ugly, right? But anyways, the results of the study were that they had some liars and some truth tellers. Now, after the experimenter either got their photo taken and were prompted with, hey, wipe the mark out of your face, or whether they were just like, they had their picture taken without being told that to wipe your face. The experimenter would leave, and then another person called the confederate would come in and ask the children, hey, did that person you just took a picture of have a mark on their face? And again, the child would be like, oh, yes, they did. Oh, no, they didn't. And then that's how they were categorized into white lie tellers or truthful tellers. Now, after conducting the study, at least 51% of the children responded that they didn't tell the adult the truth because either they didn't know or simply forgot to tell the experimenter about the mark, which is understandable. You can kind of see a bit of its flaw there because you can't really determine specifically which of those options the children relied on. Now, they did find that most children as young as 3-year-olds tell white lies when the adult or situation in question is not in present. Basically meaning that when the confederate would come in and ask the child about the experimenter and whether they had the mark on their nose, the child would tell the confederate person that, hey, they did have a mark on their nose. And that's because the experimenter was not in the room, which is kind of amazing because it's like, wow, they really did not want to tell the person about the mark on their nose, only when they were outside of the room. And you can kind of see how they were trying to be harmless and have that not hurtful lie. Now, a child may learn from experience that remarking bluntly about an adult's unusual appearance may result in scolding or another kind of like negative reaction from the adult. That is why children don't like directly tell the mom like, hey, yes, your dress is ugly. And that's because they fear that, hey, if I tell my mom her dress is ugly, then my mom is going to spank me or, yell at me because I told her the truth. So that's a little bit about what the researchers kind of talked about in this study. And I can see really how the researchers really took into consideration all the cognitive and social ways that children hold the truth from people when they're not in the room. Now, another article I found is called Theory of Mind Causes Honest Young Children to Lie. And in this article, to start off, what is theory of mind? And theory of mind is basically the ability to reason about mental states and act in accordance with such reasoning. And basically what it means is theory of mind, you get to understand the concept of knowing and understanding another individual's feelings, their thoughts, emotions, and experiences. Let's say, for example, that a child who's learning theory of mind, once you get that concept into them, they'd be more easier to understand another kid's feelings. Like, hey, if I take this toy away from the kid, then I am going to hurt their feelings. So I should not do that. Essentially, that's what it is. They get to learn about another individual's feelings and consider them rather than just bluntly like, okay, I'm taking this toy away from you. And I don't care if it's going to hurt your feelings. That's what theory of mind is. And in this study, researchers conducted an experiment where they had two groups of children. Again, 3-year-olds, one who were trained with theory of mind training, and then another group who were trained with physical concepts. And researchers found that participating in theory of mind training to learn about mental state concepts, who had originally been unable to lie, began to deceive consistently. Where, in contrast, 3-year-olds who participated in control training to learn about physical concepts were significantly less inclined to lie than those who were theory of mind trained. Now, theory of mind is typically thought of as contributing to pro-social development. And again, pro-social development is that concept of understanding another child's feelings, wanting to make relationships and friendships, be in a good position with another kid where no harm is being done. But honestly, as this study showed, that kind of has its flaws because children also begin to lie when the theory of mind concept is in thought. Now, theory of mind understanding for children in the experimental condition, but not for children in the control condition, improved significantly after training, meaning that because they got all these skills and started to acknowledge social cues of the way that people responded based of theory of mind, they were most likely to lie than those who were taught those physical constructs. And again, that's kind of the idea that you're learning theory of mind, understanding another person's feelings, yet you're still learning also about how to lie and, whether lying in your own opinion is hurtful or not. So that's a little bit about that article. And then in the third article that I researched called Little Liars, Development of Verbal Deception in Children. In this article, they also talk about theory of mind in action. Essentially, they say that lying is essence in theory of mind in action, because to lie and to lie successfully, individuals must understand their mental state and their listener's mental state. What does this mean? Basically meaning that in order to be successful when you lie, you have to understand kind of where you are at. What's your goal? How do you feel? Confident, not confident? Are you anxious? Whatnot. And then the other person that you're trying to deceive, are they shy? Are they scared? Are they timid? You want to really, if you're going to lie to someone, you want to bring in that confidence, that kind of smugness of, hey, I know more than you, and I'm going to make myself clear so that my lie can go through, and, you can obviously be deceived. Now, In this study, they researched that they said that children begin to tell lies in the preschool years for anti and pro-social purposes, and their tendency to lie changes as a function of age and the type of lies being told. Obviously, as children get older, they, learn more. Their brain starts to grow. They get all of that frontal lobe growth where they start to understand more concepts of, hey, lying is not good. So now they also found that children's nonverbal behaviors reveal that those who deliberately tell lies attempt to mimic the behaviors of people who tell the truth. For example, making direct eye contact with the listeners when lying. Now, what does this mean? Basically, when children try to lie, they try to mimic those who tell the truth. Make direct eye contact, maybe not shake too much like their leg, have that posture of like, hey, I'm not lying to you. I'm just sitting here making direct eye contact with you, so that means I'm not lying to you. That's what kind of that statement made sense. And now they said that children's knowledge about social norms regarding promises affects their decisions about lying. And again, children, they're still growing and they still are getting the hang of, what a lie is. Yet, adolescents may have developed a more sophisticated theory of mind that considers multiple mental states like beliefs, emotion from multiple people. But that article was really good. It kind of goes over how theory of mind in action, makes a child lie more. The final article that I researched talks about the right way to punish a child in a harmless way for lying. Of course, I believe that there has to be an age-appropriate consequence for children in different age groups. But personally, from my own experience, growing up in a Hispanic household, the way that my mom used to teach me not to lie and be truthful was by kind of threatening me with the chancla. And the chancla translates to sandal. She'd be like, if you lie to me, or if you're not telling me the truth about, a mistake or something that I was hiding from her, she'd be like, I'm going to throw you the chancla. And honestly, I was very scared of that. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to get hit by my mom with the chancla. So I need to tell her the truth. That's kind of how I always grew up. She was always like, she put that fear in me. And, I grew up okay. I didn't really ever lie to her. And yes, it was because I was a little bit scared of that, but also because I didn't really need to. My family was very straightforward, and I think that's something very common with Hispanic communities. Now, the article is called "A Parent's Guide to Lying and Age-Appropriate Consequences," and is by Sarah Gonser, which was a very interesting read. She explains that kids lie for a number of reasons, as everyone probably already knows. And like I just mentioned, she summarizes the different age groups from like toddlers to preschoolers being the ones who not really have a clear idea of where the truth and the lies are at. And school-age kids from 5 to 8, which are the ones to kind of tell more lies, and then the older kids being more honest, because they've obviously developed a better cognitive concept of not telling lies and being truthful. Well, according to the author, she mentioned that punishment is there to put fear in the child, and while that I feel has its positive and negative cons based on my own experience, I do agree with her that rather than punishing them, you have to teach them the importance of honest and reinforcing that every time they lie in order to reduce that behavior. And what that means basically means that if your child lies and gets caught, use that moment to dole out a consequence that fits the crime. Obviously, if they don't do their homework, you're not going to go ahead and spank them, because that's not the proper way to deal with them. They were just wanting to get extra recess time outside or, be able to play with their friends. So why should you give them such a harsh punishment for wanting, something that kids want all the time? And by showing your child compassion, patience, and a willingness to listen and communicate with them, they are far less likely to take that habit of lying, which I really agree with. Honestly, validating their feelings, because they are human. They're just tiny humans. You want to be able to understand their point of view, and then you want to be able to explain your point of view in order to get more honesty from them, and reduce that lying behavior. But thank you so much for listening. That's all I had for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed my episode, and I will catch you guys later.